All right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. If you're watching it this afternoon, if you're watching it later, well, good whatever the time of day is, wherever you are, and whatever time you're watching this. I received a request from a student, and I got another request or a comment from another student saying that, gee, you're right. This was more difficult than I expected. Um, One of them actually said that they didn't understand why we weren't having assignments. There just wasn't that much to cover. And I said, don't worry about it. It's going to be a very difficult class. You're going to have to learn how to study. You're going to have to learn how to take law and understand law and apply law. And it's going to take everything you've got to keep up with the class. You don't need additional homework assignments and things of that nature. This isn't a high school civics class where you learn about law and try to memorize a few things with some flashcards and things. It's a totally different type of experience. Um, I I think it's kind of much more like a math class. But in any event, let me go ahead and mention a couple things. First of all, the class grades yesterday on the exam were good, which surprised me because this probably was a record for the best exam scores on the first exam of the semester that I've had since I've been teaching. The average was 81 on the from both sections of the class. I had 34% of the class made A's, 55% of the class made A's and B's. That's very good. Now, on the downside, I had 11% of the class make a D and 13% make an F. Now, 13% sounds like a lot, but if you're talking about 30 people that took the class, that means that took the thing. That means that three or so, maybe four, three or four, actually did not make a 60 or above. Of course, I want that number to be zero. I want that number to be zero, so I'm not making light of it in any case, but having 55% of the class make A's and B's was very good. Now, part of that was because there were 11 bonus points available. And generally, the people that did pretty well on the rest of the tests were the ones that took advantage of the bonus opportunities and and watched the videos, took notes on the videos, and answered the questions. The I had one student that responded on the short answer question, asking you to tell me at least three of the ways that you can help uh, protect your business a bit against lawsuits. And they said, gee, I didn't take notes in the video and I forgot. Well, can't help you with that. This is not good studying when you do things like that. You need to take notes and you need to do that with everything. And I'll talk about that here in just a minute. Now, let me go ahead and share my screen with you. Hopefully, I'll do it right this time. Share screen. Here we go. And hopefully you're seeing my version, the student view of a class. I want to mention a couple of things here. First thing is that if you go to the modules section, by now you should know, and again, this will not be important really at all for the next test because the next test is on the McDonald's coffee cup case study and Stella Lebec. And I'm not even sure if that's in the textbook at all. If it is, it's not covered nearly as extensively as my videos and handout material that I have prepared cover that material. But where you see in modules, click here to register and access ebook. For those of you who were asking about the ebook, there it is. That's where it is located. So hopefully you can manage to get the book from there. I will say again, 100% of the questions, and you probably get a sense by now. I create these questions, 100% of them. They come from my materials, from my handouts, from my lectures. That's where the entire course is created. The textbook, it generally follows the textbook. Probably 80 to 90% of the material that I prepare is also contained in the textbook. And that's why the textbook is important, because you can get a better understanding of the material after you have, number one, after you have listened and watched my audio and video lectures and taken notes from that. From my handouts, you should take notes from handouts. Yeah, you should. Not just highlight, not just taking a yellow marker and marking along like you might do in a high school civics class. Not that kind of class. You're going to have to work in this kind of class. And again, I'm going to talk about that here in a minute as well. But there's where you get the ebook. It's in the module section. Click there to register and access the ebook. Now, the next thing I wanted to do was to help you on trying to figure out how to study for the class. And I thought, well, gee, let's look at a couple of questions from the exam. And so that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to look at a couple of the questions from the first exam. The first one is yikes. And what I've got here is I've got two examples of questions that about half the class missed, and then two examples of questions that more than 90% of the class answered correctly. And I want to talk about these and why each of them were like they were, and why we see the responses as we see them. First one, yikes, you got sued by a debt collector. You don't remember if it was in state or federal court. You did not answer the lawsuit. Uh-oh. And you've been notified that there is a default judgment entered against you after only 30 days. You know for sure that you are not sued in federal court. Well, that's false. How long do you have to answer a lawsuit in federal court? You got 21 days. So if a default judgment was entered against you in 30 days, absolutely you could have been sued in federal court. Now, you could have also been sued in state court. Why? Well, let's say it's state district court. You have 14 days to answer in state district court. So could a default judgment have been entered against you in 30 days? Absolutely. Surely it could. But you just don't know. You don't know which court right now that was entered into, that was filed against you, because either one of those would have been appropriate. Either one of those could have, in fact, given a default judgment in that situation. Okay, now, question, how do you study for that? Flashcards? I don't think flashcards and highlighting stuff are really going to do it. You're going to have to dig through. You're going to dig through and look at the material and things. And when you're studying those things, you're going to look at it at your handout. And you're going to say, gee, state court, I have 14 days to answer a lawsuit here. That means that if I don't answer in day 15, a lawsuit default judgment could be entered against me. State circuit court, I have 30 days to answer. Okay, well, I know for sure that I'm safe for 30 days. On day 31, there might be a default judgment entered against me if I don't answer. And then you go to federal court, you look and you say, okay, 21 days, I've got to answer a lawsuit. Oh, that's interesting. What happens if a default judgment is entered against me after 22 days? Well, I might have been sued in state district court. I might have been sued in federal court. I don't know which one. Could have been either one. What if a default judgment was in 18 days? Well, I know it had to be state district court because I only had 14 days to answer there. In federal court, I would have had 21. So you can't have a default judgment on day 18. That's the kind of thing and the kind of analysis you're going to have to go through. That's the kind of thing, and I call it active thinking when you are listening to these lectures and reviewing the handout material. We are very used to passively thinking and passively listening. When you attended lecture classes in the past, you've just passively written down things that a teacher has provided for you, and that's not enough. You will not learn law with a passive method of studying. You cannot learn it that way. It has to be active. You have to actively engage your brain. And again, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more here in a minute as well. Next question. You have a fender bender car accident in the state of Alabama against another Alabama citizen involving only state law causes of action. Now, if you're actively thinking through this, you should know, well, it's not going to be a federal court case. Why? Because it's one Alabama citizen against another Alabama citizen, and so you can't have diversity jurisdiction there. And it involves only a state law cause of action. There's no federal question jurisdiction in there. So we know for sure that it cannot be a federal court case. You should know that already from that first sentence. Second sentence, if you want to sue for $17,500 and get a jury to hear that case, you can file this in Alabama State District Court. That answer is false. Half the class missed that. I don't know why. Half the class missed it. Yeah, State District Court allows you to sue for up to $20,000, but you do not get a jury. So you have to file in another court. What other court do you have to do that? State Circuit Court. You have jurisdiction from $6,001 to infinity in State Circuit Court, and you can get a jury. That's where you would file that lawsuit, since you want to get a jury to hear that case. You have to actively engage your brain when you're thinking through, when you're studying these questions, when you're studying the material, and then when you take the exam. This is one I was disappointed because I specifically mentioned this one in a video I did for you guys earlier this semester. When I was kind of going over, showing you some things on handouts and things, I specifically said this one. I was giving you a freebie. I actually hinted around and I said that, I might ask you a question about filing a lawsuit, and but you want a jury, and State District Court won't let you have a jury. I thought I was going to get 90% of the students to get this one, but we didn't. My guess is that you either didn't see that video or you watched it one time and didn't pay that close of attention to it. Again, this is another reason why you don't have time for homework. You need to have that time to watch a video, watch an audio lecture, not once, not twice, 3 times if needed, and to go through and analyze these things in a way that teaches you how to apply law. Again, I'm going to talk about that here in a minute as well. Now, those are a couple of questions that about half the class, I think one of them about 40%, 45% missed it, but about half the class missed those 2 questions. Now let's talk about what I call softball questions. I'm not going to have many of these. Yeah, there may be a couple of them on the exam, but again, it's not that kind of class. It's not an easy class. Softball questions are ones that if you read the material, you probably are going to get right without even thinking very much. Interrogatories must be issued only to party to a lawsuit, but a deposition is sworn testimony by a party or another witness. That's true. Came straight from the material. One example of a court of general jurisdiction is U.S. Tax Court. That's false. Came straight from the material that it was a court of limited jurisdiction. You knew that. I'm pleased that you got that. You need to get the softball questions right. And then the way I look at it is you get the softball questions right. And then the people that get, 80, 85% of the other questions, they're going to be my A students. And the people that get 70, 75% of the other questions right, in addition to the softball questions, they're going to be the B students. So you got to get the softball questions right as well. Okay. Now, the bonuses. Bonuses are always, somebody asked me late, and they should have known this already, but they wanted to know where the bonuses were located if they were with the exam material. No, they're not going to be with the exam material. Exam materials really are going to be focused just on the exam. That's the most important part. I want you spending most of your time going through the coffee cup case, the videos, the lecture, a video lecture, the difference between comparative and contributory negligence, which is very, very big in the state of Alabama, very big in the state of Alabama. You need to spend most of your time on that. But occasionally, and I don't guarantee that it'll be every week, although it'll be often. I'm going to, on your announcements, I'm going to post a bonus questions for exam one. And in that bonus questions for exam one, if you clicked on it and you read the announcement, there are the two videos that you needed to review. And I said I'd have questions from the videos so that you can actually make more than 100 on your exam. I did have one student make 111. What a great start to the semester. Making 111. Wow, that was terrific. But this is where the bonus questions will be announced. They'll do it. I haven't done that yet for next week's exam, but I probably will do something tonight or tomorrow for that. Which also reminds me, I understand there is a setting that each student has. I have it too on my account for notifications, and that um, if you turn it off, you will not be notified for things like announcements. Keep it on. Please keep it on. Now, I mean, you can check it every day if you want to. You can check the announcements every day, and that's fine if that's the way you want to do it. But if I were you, I would have my notifications tell me, send me an email or whatever it is that it does, and tell me when a new announcement has been made. I mean, you can look at it already from this semester. There's a quick Zoom discussion today, and this is being recorded and is going in the live tab of our YouTube channel. But you'll see that I had a link there. There was another quick one. There was a reminder about exam one. There was some bonus questions there. There's a checklist for things that you should know or be familiar with. There's something that tells you exactly where our YouTube channel is located. Another announcement of another Zoom meeting. This was the first exam video talking about how you find the materials and you go through it, etc. From August 22nd till now, which is what, about 2 weeks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different announcements in 2 weeks. This is an online class. This is one of the ways that I'm going to require you to be actively engaged with this class. You can't just slough off or else you're going to do very poorly in this class. You need to stay connected with me and with the class. Okay. Finally, how do you study? Well, first of all, there's no magic to this. There's no trick. There's no shortcuts. It's hard work. It's like, how do you study for a math class? Um, it, the the way that you study is you go through the formulas and you go look at everything and then you work through different things and different fact patterns. Same kind of thing here, in my opinion. Now, I do recommend the Cornell note-taking method for this class. I think it is the best note-taking method uh, that's out there, but I don't know that it's the right one for you. It might be the right one for you. I don't really know whether it is or not. It seems to, in my opinion, be very well suited for law classes, period. The and I've got the volume turned off here, but the basically the Cornell note-taking method, and you can Google it and find all kind of free templates on the internet if that's what you want to use. But it's going to look something like this. Let me make it a little bigger so you may be able to see it. Um, and you'll have, and you can even do this on a legal pad or your own note paper or whatever. In this case, this gives you your main notes that you're taking from a lecture or from just studying handout material or video, one of the bonus videos, and you take the notes on there on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, you will see things like questions and main ideas, vocabulary, things of that nature. At the bottom, it says summary. What I would do on one of those, and I'll show you what I did here a little bit later as I go through it, and I would encourage you just to watch this video. On courts here, you have notes, federal jurisdiction, diversity, plaintiff and defendant. That's a paragraph symbol that is a shortcut for plaintiff. Triangle is usually a shortcut for defendant. Are citizens of different states, plus the amount in controversy exceeds 75,000. Federal question jurisdiction equals a federal law at issue. Sorry, my handwriting is terrible and not much I can do about that. Now, what you can also do after you're taking these notes, and you don't necessarily do that at the same time, you do later, you come back and you ask questions. What if there's no federal law required for the federal jurisdiction? Does one of them require a dollar amount minimum? Does a federal question jurisdiction require a dollar amount minimum? No, it does not. What about, do they have to be in different states for federal question jurisdiction? No. I'm asking questions here based upon the things that we have there on the right-hand side. Now, we keep going. At the bottom, we have a summary. Let me see yeah, here we go. Summary, make sure I know what type of jurisdiction. Do not confuse them. Only one of them requires two things to be met. The other one only requires one thing. It's kind of a hint to myself on what I need to watch for on these questions. And that way on the exam, I know that, gee, as I'm going through this question, I know that if I'm looking for federal question jurisdiction, I only have to think about whether there's a federal law. I don't need anything else because only one thing is needed, not two. Only one of them requires two things, and that's federal jurisdiction, diversity jurisdiction, where the plaintiff and the citizen must be of different states and the amount in controversy must exceed $75,000. So that's how you go through and use the Cornell note-taking method if that's what appeals to you. Again, I'm a big proponent of it, but it's not magic. If you're not actively thinking while you're taking notes, if you don't go through, and what I would recommend is um, is that you go through and you take the notes from the lecture, and then you go back and you summarize. What are the question? What questions can I ask about this? Here's one we haven't had yet. We haven't reached real estate yet. Um, Fixtures. If it's put in the property you're leasing, you need to know the rule. If it's permanently affixed, it becomes a part of the property. There is a different rule, an exception, if it is commercial property. Again, I apologize for my bad handwriting. If capable of being removed without damage to property, now this is commercial property rule, it's okay for the tenant to do so. Okay, so you write those kind of things down as you're studying, not necessarily just in an audio lecture. It can be going through the PowerPoints, through the handout materials, through anything, videos, everything. You use these note-taking methods and make your notes from it. And this is what you do. And then you go back later, and here it is as I go back and I'm studying my material as I go through, and I ask myself questions. What would I put on property I'm leasing, not commercial? Ceiling fan, I lose it at the end of the lease. What if it's a commercial property? Can I remove it and still keep it? Yes, I can take that ceiling fan off if I can remove it without damage. What about other fixtures? What are some other examples? Well, let me see. Maybe a commercial walk-in freezer or desk, you name it. Think about business items. And I'm asking myself these questions as I go through the material that I've studied. This is why, as I told a student earlier today, memorizing is not enough. That's high school. We're beyond, way beyond that. I'm not trying to make you be a lawyer. Be happy if you decide to go to law school afterward, and you certainly are capable of doing so. But at least you need to be able to apply law, and this is how you apply law. You have to think through and go through these things and figure these out and work through it by actively thinking. What I call actively thinking. If you're not actively thinking, then you're falling behind and you're not going to do well. The exams are going to do nothing but get harder. They will be more and more difficult. Now, for most students, your grades will get better and better rather than worse and worse because you'll get used to it. Even you won't think the exams are harder. You'll think, oh, they're getting easier. No, they're not. You're just figuring out how you're supposed to take these tests and go through these tests. Okay, I'm going to go ahead because this has almost been 30 minutes of me telling you how to study. When I started the Zoom session by telling you that, I really don't know how you need to study because there's no real trick to it. It's just a case of working very hard. I want to go ahead now and open it up to questions. Do I have any questions? No questions? If I don't have any questions, I hope this has been helpful. I know that I know that a couple of you dropped in. There is a chat question. Hold on, let me see if I can. Oh, okay. All right. Oh, very welcome. With that. If there's anything I can do to help you in the class this semester, let me know. I can't answer the questions for you. And again, there are no shortcuts. I will tell you this. I've asked students before, how long did they take to study? What time did they put into the class for this particular week? And some of them said, well, I watched the two videos, and the videos were about 45 minutes total and I studied through the thing, so I probably spent 2 hours. Well, that 2 hours might need to be six. It's a 3 hour class. They say that you should have to spend 2 hours per week per hour of the of class credit in order to do well. So I'm not telling you need to take 6 hours. I'm not telling you need to take nine. I'm not telling you that you can't do it in three. I don't know. Everybody's going to be different, and whatever it takes is whatever it takes. Hopefully, by the second, third, fourth exam, you're going to know. You're going to know what to do and how to study and how long it takes you to do these kind of things. But again, it's hard work. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, then I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And very good. I'll sign off. You're more than welcome, and hope this did help. Good luck with the next exam, and I'll be seeing you hopefully on a future Zoom. Thanks, guys.